This is the I'm Uncomfortable podcast, the podcast for people who want to be okay with being uncomfortable. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Melissa.
Welcome to season 11 of the I'm Uncomfortable podcast, where we invite people to become the fullest version of themselves by learning and growing from their uncomfortable moments. And today we are kicking off in a full circle moment, or with a full circle episode. You might have remembered a little while ago, Melissa quit her job.
It was the theme of like a full season.
It sure was. Yeah. And, you know, in previous seasons, I'd been struggling with my job as well as a school leader. And the short version is, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. We've consciously chosen violence, and we're going to get into that. But as per usual, before we start, we're going to share what's been making us uncomfortable. Melissa, would you like to grace us with your story first?
Sure. In classic Melissa is constantly trying to learn how to say no to things. I failed recently when I got a call that usually I don't really even answer the phone, but since I've been doing interviews and things for job opportunities, I was like, okay, I'm going to answer this phone call. Turns out it was a survey call. So it was from the office of the governor, and they were doing a survey on all things like upcoming propositions, like how well he's doing or not well he's doing. And so this person that was on the phone had a really heavy accent. And I can say this, that I'm pretty sure she was coming from a call center in the Philippines.
Sure. Because why call from the actual state that you're governor in?
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that part. So it was one kind of hard to understand her, and I was really trying to be really patient. And also, she caught me at like a weird time. I only answered the phone because I thought it was something important. Sure. So I answered this phone call, not thinking I was going to get pulled into a survey. And then the uncomfortable part of it wasn't the survey. The uncomfortable part was the fact that I thought this was going to be like maybe 10 questions.
Sure.
And then I get to like the 10th question, and then I'm answering these really complicated long questions, and then I stop her and I was like, can I just ask how many more questions are left, because I am cooking dinner right now and I don't really have time. She's like, but to ensure my day's pay, ma'am, we have to go through all of the questions.
Stop it.
Yeah, she said that. She's like, I'm sorry,
Is that real,
miss.
do you think? Or is that like
No, I hope it's not.
I hope it's not too, because that's really rude.
That's really rude. And also the way that they structure, it made me think about the way they structure these surveys as someone who comes from communications to like, surveys should not be more than 10 questions, and you cannot guilt trip people into
finishing the survey.
Into participating. It ended up being like, I kid you not, 40 questions, 40 questions. And they weren't like yes or no. It was like on a scale of I approve or disapprove or disagree or strongly agree, like these scales. And the questions were multifaceted, where it's like, if you knew about this proposition that would be coming up about this thing in the state of California, do you strongly agree with this statement? And I'm just
people have probably hung up on her.
I thought about it. I thought about it so hard. But then the guilt trip part got to me, where I was like, but then if she doesn't finish this, then her pay gets docked. And I'm like, when I got off the phone call, I was like frustrated.
How long was this phone call?
It was like 20 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm just like, I didn't even know I was going to have a phone call.
Right.
These days we don't answer our phones.
No, she's lucky you even picked up. And
I got caught, and it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable because it was such a long phone call, and uncomfortable because I felt like I was guilt tripped into finishing the phone call.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad because also like I can understand the Filipino accent, like, but it was really hard to understand, and that was making me uncomfortable, and I felt bad about that. So
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you survived. Congratulations. Wild. And no one should ever be put in that situation where they're not getting paid if other people don't complete a survey that you have no control over them doing or not doing.
Yeah, and I got impatient, so I wasn't giving quality answers. So
exactly.
There's that part.
Who designed this survey?
I don't know.
Well.
Anyways, What was your uncomfortable moment?
My uncomfortable moment has nothing to do with that at all, but it is very on brand for me. And I actually called Melissa on the way home, and I was like, "I'm going to tell you it's making me uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to share it." And she was like, "You should share it." So as you know, if you've been a listener of the pod, I have struggled with my digestive system and just making sure that everything's regulated and flowing out the way that it should.
Hot girls have tummy problems. Isn't that the saying?
That is the saying, and can confirm. But I've just been a little stressed and over caffeinated and underhydrated. And so last night I was laying in bed and I researched like massages to help you go to the bathroom. Yeah. And like apparently it's all right here. So you do like circular massage, or you can do like a cross. So you make the letter L like going down, and then a U, so down. Yeah, okay, so if you're struggling, there's your tutorial. Right, like down, under,
you should be watching so you can see the tutorial.
Yeah. And so I asked Ross, I was like, can you just help? Can like you give me a little massage to help me? And he was like, okay. So he's doing it, right? And I'm just like, okay, visualizing, manifesting this for myself. And then all of a sudden he's like, I think I actually need to poop. And I was like, what are you talking about? What?
It's like when the phenomenon when the husbands end up craving just as much sweets and other weird things when their partner is pregnant.
But like, how dare you say that you have to poop right now? That's like, I'm the one trying to poop. And then of course nothing happens. And then on the drive home today, I'm like speeding home because all of a sudden I need to finally use the bathroom. And I'm calling Melissa like, I'm racing home right now. Like, everyone just needs to drive faster. Like, I need to go to the bathroom.
It's a dire situation.
So, I mean, it was great. Everything's fine. I'm happy now. But, like, what the hell?
and I suggested that she share it because it really is. If you've been listening to this podcast, if you know Vanessa as a personal friend, you know that this is a reoccurring segment in her show.
In my life.
In this life of hers.
In this life. God, what did I do in my past life to deserve this? I don't understand. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine now, but it did make me uncomfortable. And so if you struggle like me, maybe do the massage, manifest it, visualize it, and it will happen for you, just like it happened for me.
Right. And I just want to, I know that you touched on it, but why have you been so stressed?
Great. I think we can segue into the episode. Melissa, do you want to share your accessory? If you're watching, we can both share our stress accessories.
So today on Show and Tell, both Vanessa and I have accessories that we have both purchased to help us feel more comfortable in this next life transition for both of us. Yeah. Mine is my nails.
They're matching. Okay, and I got this cute little bow from Target. If you're going back to school, there it is. And cute. I have this bow because I am indeed going back to school. I never left schools, but I'm going back to school now as the principal.
Yeah.
Which, like, what? We literally just last season said I wasn't going to be doing this. Like, I had taken it was like saying no to the promotion. Yeah. So if you go back to that episode of saying no to a promotion, I definitely took a hard stance against this life, and I am now in the life currently.
She chose violence, as she said in the beginning of this episode.
School starts on Wednesday. And that's why I have been over-caffeinated and underhydrated.
And therefore
not
regular.
It all connects. And Melissa chose violence by returning to the industry that she once detested.
I wouldn't say violence, actually. I think I have a different stance on it.
Okay, it's not violence now. We've talked about this, but share.
Yes.
What are you doing now?
So I think the violence has been the process getting to here.
That's fair.
To be honest. I left the water industry 2 seasons ago. I'll just refer it as seasons.
2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago. I stayed in the public agency realm for the time being as I was trying to figure out what my next move would be. And then, honestly, this happened, I guess the process was a little violent, and because it was so fast, because I was going through the roller coasters of not hearing back from a lot of people that I had interviewed with, and then I was the up part of the roller coaster was being hopeful about a position that I was really excited about, and then the downhill was not hearing back or not being offered the position, which I had been offered a couple of positions, but then having to making the decision to turn them down for whatever reason, whether it was just the salary expectations were not there, or it's not what I thought the position was going to be. So it's just been like this tumultuous journey of trying to figure out where I wanted to take my next step in my career. Yeah. And this opportunity honestly has been less than a month since I said yes to this position, and I start tomorrow. As of recording this episode, tomorrow is my first day at the office. Woo-woo. But yeah, I have taken a position back in the water industry in a completely new service area, but I'm actually excited because it's an opportunity that I couldn't turn down because, one, I was able to meet my salary goals that I've been trying to reach for the past couple of years.
Melissa has had some rules, as we both have, about like, what do we need to say yes?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I was able to reach that, and I was so proud of myself because I was able to, in the moment of the interview, be able to kind of put out there my expectations. So it was nice. It was like a good, proud, uncomfortable moment. And then I couldn't turn down the position also because it was an opportunity to kind of build a team not from scratch, but I know that this team is in the rebuilding process, so it's an opportunity for me and my manager to learn together because she has just recently started as well. So we're kind of going into this thing, figuring it out together alongside each other. Yeah. So I'm hopeful. I'm going into it with an open mind, hopeful for the opportunity to like form this thing together. So yeah.
I think then we should probably take it back to like when we had recorded that saying no to a promotion, you and I very much were aligned that there were certain criteria that needed to be met for us to like want to even for you go back into that industry or just like what job you were searching for, period.
Yeah, and whether for it was the industry or not. Yeah.
Right. And then for me to like do this job and because I very much was enjoying what I was doing. And so I wanted to kind of circle back about like where were you last time we talked about it and how has your mindset changed since that time?
I don't think it has. In terms of, I think I was able to check the boxes that I wanted to in order to say yes to this position, if that makes sense.
So for you, it was more like my mindset is firm. Like these are the things I want. I just can't find something yet that fits, and I'm not willing to. Well, I feel like there was a period of time where you kind of had to feel like you compromised a little bit with the other job that you were in. I suppose,
yes. I mean, and that was I went into that position, my previous position, knowing that this wasn't a permanent thing. It was the sustaining semi-stable position that I was going to hang on to while I continued the longer game search. So that was, I had to compromise in that sense with a lower pay grade. I was hourly and definitely getting paid lower than what I was making in my previous position. And the hours were they were weird. They were 12-hour shifts, whether it was daytime or nighttime, which honestly, when I think back, I don't mind that, but it's not something I could have done, I think, full-time.
For a long time?
So in terms of the things that I wanted to check on my list for a position that I would say yes to, like I mentioned, salary. I had salary expectations. I wanted a better work-life balance. And this position offers me 2 days in the office and the rest I'm working from home. Okay. So I was able to do that. And then also an opportunity for me, I don't know if I even mentioned this in that previous episode, but it was one of the reasons why I had left my previous stable position was that I didn't feel like I was learning anything or being challenged in that position that I was, and I didn't see any opportunity for growth in that specific department and position. This position that I've accepted has that opportunity for growth in that department. So yeah, those were kind of like the main things.
Congratulations for finding the thing that you that you've been searching for.
And it could have been, I could have found that not in the water industry, but it just happened to be in the water industry. So
did you have any trepidations of going back, like, to that previous work? Yeah, because I certainly had many trepidations saying yes and going back into this line of work.
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear what your decision pathway was to that, because I remember you saying surprise.
Literally. Hey,
surprise.
You'll never guess.
This?
Remember that thing I said I wasn't gonna do like a month ago? God. Yeah, this happened really suddenly. I was really enjoying the work that I was doing, and we had talked about there are certain things that we want as part of our life that we're not willing to give up on.
Yeah.
And I even told Jillian, if you're new, Jillian is my therapist who I haven't spoken to in a month because I just haven't had the time. She knows though. Busy. I know. It just okay. Where do I even begin? The school that I'm stepping in as interim principal of is, they had a plan, if you will, like a successor plan for who would take over. Yeah. And then that kind of fell apart at the last moment, and they needed someone to step in to make sure that things were going to be okay while the current principal transitioned into her director role. And I know that I was like nervous about stepping away from my role, but there were also a few things that I'd been missing. One of them being a sense of team and like community. Okay. Yeah, because in my previous role, it was great because I got to see different schools and connect with different people and share resources and train people. And I love all those things. But there was always kind of a sense of like, I kind of miss having a bigger team or feeling like a part of a community. And with this team,
from home a lot too. So
I was working from home at least once a week, which was nice, right? So here's the other thing. I think when I was a school leader in the past, I was in a phase of growth, if you want to call it that, very tumultuous and learning lots, and also using work as like a distraction, if you will. And I had a moment where I was like, okay, could I do this? Because we talked about it. Remember how I was having dinner or whatever with my friend and her husband, and he was like, oh, like, you don't have the balls. And I was like, it's not about having, like, I think I could do the job just fine. That's not what I'm scared of. And so I finally was like, okay, my life is actually in a pretty decent place in terms of everything else, that I do feel I could handle the additional responsibilities and stress without it feeling like too much stress. So while I am stressed, it is also what I expected. And nothing has been a surprise in terms of stress levels, which I should probably knock on wood right now so that doesn't come to fruition. But basically all the things that I have had to do, I'm like, yep, okay, this makes sense. This is what I knew I was getting myself into. So it's like all the things that I was worried about, I don't know how to say it. I was just more mentally prepared to go back into it.
I mean, I think so, because I think when we were talking, about it, when you told me that you were like, yeah, I'm surprised I'm taking this position, and I was like, hold on. Yeah. But I was telling you that it's different this time. And while, yes, you are stressed and there's a lot of work that you are doing, it is coming from a place of experience this time. The first time you were doing it, it was for the first time. And then you had the the personal and external things outside of that were also tumultuous. So you're coming into it from a place of experience. You have done this before. So again, like, nothing has really been out of the blue or surprising, to say the least. No. I suppose it's like just the learning curve of going into this school and like learning the people, like learning.
It is.
That
if this had been dynamic. One of the schools that I'd already been supporting, it might have been a little easier. But I haven't supported this school specifically in 2 years. Yeah. So I know a few folks, but not all of them. And it was kind of weird coming in as like a stranger at the last minute, being like, "Hi,
can you explain to the people what last minute means to people?"
Like literally the last week of school. Yeah.
So, so your whole summer was just
no summer. People were like, "Oh, like, what did you do this summer?" And I was like, work. Because the principals of other schools, they'd had a couple of months already to like talk to their teams, plan, blah blah blah. And then this team, it's like, okay, they've been waiting to see what's going to happen to them, and none of the planning have I done. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
now I have to review the plans that have been made and finish the ones that haven't and like spend some time catching up. So I went to Tahoe for 4 days, but that was pretty much the extent of my summer. And it was during that storm when people died. So yeah.
I don't even know what happened.
Oh my God, there was like this huge storm,
Tahoe?
like suddenly random in Tahoe, and people were out on a boat, and then I guess it like tipped over.
I did hear about that. Actually, now that I remember.
Yeah.
At my previous job, I probably saw it at my job because we have to have the news on all the time. I was inundated with so much news. So, wow, that's crazy. I did not know that had lined up.
That was
with when
that
you were.
time. I mean, I was on land because I'm not going out the ocean, not even the ocean, just the water, the lake, whatever. I don't mess with the water.
Yeah.
I have a healthy respect for the power of water. So no.
Bodies of water. Yeah.
Body, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But yeah. Expectations. Just I had them. And for you, did you have that same like idea of okay, like kind of I know this industry, I kind of know what to expect.
I guess. Well, maybe I need to check back in because tomorrow is my official first day. I haven't really gotten into the whole position yet, but I think in the same light of what you're talking about or what you're asking about, I think that's why I'm not maybe as nervous or
Yeah.
I'm not as nervous as I would think I would be entering a new job, just because when I read the job description for when I was applying, I was like, okay, yeah, I have that. I have this. I check all
Done
the
that.
boxes.
Check.
You know, I'm tooting my horn a little bit, but that's real. There was a point in my process of applying to all these jobs, whether it was in the water industry or not, where I was over preparing for interviews and things, and then I would over prepare and then get to the point where I interview, it goes okay, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it does, and then I end up at the end of the day not even hearing back, or it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. And so it was funny when I went into this interview process, I was like, I'm not really going to prepare, because at this point I know what my experience is. I have very specific, very niche experiences in projects that I've worked on that I don't need to make extensive notes that I would usually do. I mean, I kind of had to. I kind of like had to hype myself up in that way, because I had gone through so much tumultuous like interviewing processes where I was like, I thought I nailed this.
I know.
Yeah, and
there
then
was
you
that one where
don't.
you were like, I thought I did so well, and then they didn't get back to you about it.
I was like, whatever. But it was a very nice, and actually it was weirdly smooth, the interview process, where I was like, this is too good to be true, guys. What's going on? So the first interview that I had, I was like, I don't know about this. And then they called me to bring me in for the in-person interview. And then same thing. Everything was super casual in terms of them following up with questions and me kind of just being able to relax into the conversation versus being like, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, this is my
I am
experience.
professional, Melissa. This is my accomplishments.
Right.
You like it?
So, yeah, I just feel like that experience is helping me not feel so nervous going into it. I'm coming in with almost a decade of experience.
And we both had salary stipulations too, which, so that was important. Yeah. I went back and I was like, you can get me a little more, please. Maybe? Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So when they initially, because I remember us talking about this potential position coming your way, and you told me that they would be able to provide you with more money.
Yeah.
At that point in time, you were like, no, that's not. I still no. But then, what brought you to finally saying yes? Were they able to give you that extra?
Yes and no. So one, it's like never take the first offer.
Yeah.
But two, so when they came back with like not even really that much more money, honestly. It was maybe 2,000 more, 3,000 more, not even really worth it, pennies after taxes, right? But I was like, okay, I appreciate the effort. And I also had to weigh out the other aspects, because money it's important, but that's not everything. So I thought, like, what could this experience give me? If I do really well, what doors might it open?
Yeah.
What might it teach me about the facets of the job that I don't like, or any job, right? And then I can now apply that to just like my knowledge of not just like the educational landscape or whatever, but like me personally, what parts of the job do I enjoy? Because like I said, School Leader Vanessa was such a long time ago, and there were so many extra layers, one being the pandemic that added on to that time period. So I'm like, okay, how about we try it when I'm in a healthy and stable relationship, my living situation is stable, I don't have roommates that I want to murder, and also it's not a global pandemic.
Oh my God.
Remember? Do you remember that? Yeah. That was rough. That was a hard time. That was a hard time. I literally broke my lease with 2 months left. I just couldn't stand.
You kept trying to justify and justify, and I was like, I think it's time.
It's time. And I was like, oh my God, it's time. But that led to great things. And here I am now, right? I'm in such a different mental headspace and physical space, just everything space. I'm in a better place to receive lessons from the job.
Also, I think that's important to emphasize, because you're saying you can take all of this knowledge from this specific experience, and then when and if you go back to your coaching position, you can take that experience with you and share that.
Yeah. I was like, there's no reason.
Best and the worst. Yeah.
Right. There's no reason that this wouldn't help me in the long run. And so far I've enjoyed it, and it's been exactly as challenging as I thought, but that's part of it, right? So I think if you're like Melissa and me and you're dealing with a job search, which number one is uncomfortable, Melissa having been searching for jobs and me having interviewed people I've done so many interviews over the past 2 weeks. It's been horrendous. But going through that experience, if you are navigating that, and if you're trying to not compromise, it's tough because, one, the job market, right? And then how do you just not compromise what you want out of your job versus what you can realistically get from the job market? But then the other thing is thinking through what is the headspace that you're in, and like, what are you willing to compromise on? Yeah. And I think I was willing to take on a lot more compromise and risk, because when I reflected on it, everything else in my life is pretty great. So, I have a very stable situation right now. And so if you're thinking about going back to a previous role that maybe was stressful, or going into a new role that could be stressful, it's worth it, I think, to think about your mental space too, and where you're at, because that's gonna I hate that saying, like when you come to work, you are your work self. You leave everything out the door. That's literally impossible. What is a severance? You can't just separate. you can't just separate your personal life. True. Yeah, so it's like that you have to take that into consideration. I just don't think that there's a world where you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. If that's making you uncomfortable, reflect on that.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of both of our processes in making these decisions for ourselves, whether it was work-life balance or the value of taking on certain challenges and finding that balance.
I love that, the value of taking on certain challenges, because that's a thing. Yes. Some challenges are worth it, some are not.
Exactly. You have to reflect, because a job that you take on is not just a job. You don't know it affects everything else in your life. Like, it's a big portion of your day. It's a big portion of your week.
Can we just highlight that though? Because I feel like people, they get either comfortable in a job even though they hate it, or like they're looking for something but they're not sure what. Your job is such a big part of your daily life, and there's no escaping it. And when we think about work-life balance, I think the misconception is that there is some magical 50-50 where your work and personal life are somehow on an even playing field. But I think we've said before, work-life balance, some seasons are more work and some are more life, and some are more life and some are more work, and you just have to know your balance. Everyone's balance is different too, and
it's
how much you can take on. Yeah, so I love that you said that, because that's true too. And I also want to applaud you again for sticking to your guns about like the salary that you are willing to accept, and I know that's hard.
I'm glad you said that. I appreciate that, because there were times when I was thinking about, like, I had not seasons, I should say, like moments of feeling regret. I don't regret leaving the position that I left at the end of the day, but when I'm in those lows, in that tumultuous roller coaster, I start spiraling into that thought process of, should I have just stayed, or should I have taken this position that was offered to me at a lower salary? But then at the end of the day, it comes back to what you were saying. You need to find the value of where that dollar amount is versus the work that you're going to be like. It's all parts of the bigger picture. Work isn't absolutely everything in your life, but it is a big part that you should reflect on from time to time, on how it's affecting the rest of your life.
And I want to acknowledge the perceived privilege, right? Of like, I'm going to stick it out until I find the salary that I want. I don't even think it has to be that, but if you're where you're at and you're not happy with it, why not keep searching? Why not keep looking for something that's going to fulfill you more or give you more money?
Whether that, on the job side, or find value outside of it too, because a lot of people get stuck in a cycle of, okay, this job isn't ideal. Yes, they can make the choice to stick with it, or try to find something else. And if for some reason, if you're not in a position to search for anything else, finding value outside of that is really key. Because I remember in my previous position, that was like everything, like my existence, and I didn't find myself having as much prioritizing my social life or my hobbies and things like that. So it's like, again, finding your own balance, but outside and within searching for work. You know what I mean?
I think we also fall into this trap of social media and people telling you that you should like have a work-life balance or do this routine or find this thing to like make your entire life better and blah blah blah. But what your balance is looks different from my balance. What you're searching for and opportunities for growth in a job are different from mine. So if you haven't reflected on that yet, I think, and if you're uncomfortable doing it, it's probably the first thing that you need to do. Because as uncomfortable as it was for me to think about what are the pros and cons of taking this on, and for Melissa, what are the pros and cons of going back to this industry where I was like stressed and felt pressured all the time, like there's many, and you have to reflect on what's worth it to you and also what's not. So if you're uncomfortable, that's a good first step.
That's a good first step. And just to wrap things up, I think that is the how to be okay with it moment. If you are feeling some type of way about the current job that you're in, the position that you are in, maybe we just take a moment, taking inventory of the things you actually enjoy in your job and the inventory of the things that you don't enjoy, and then weighing those out, what's more valuable in terms of the way you spend your time at work, and seeing maybe there's an opportunity to adjust those things in your current working situation. And then if you realize that's not a possibility, then maybe it's time we start searching. So I think that is how you start the process of trying to be okay with your current job situation, or not job situation, because
or
the job
going
market,
back to a job, all the things, right? Leaving a job, going back to a job, finding a new job, it's all uncomfortable.
Job.
Start with a reflection, start with an inventory. What are some concrete things you can think of? You can think about like opportunities for growth. You can think about, like Melissa said, what activities do you actually enjoy doing the most? Which ones drain you the most? What are opportunities that you are looking for? What salary is desirable for you? All of those
lifestyle
things
that you are looking for.
Yeah. And there's so many tools on the internet. You can probably even use an AI bot to help you with this, but
to
the
structure
key thing
that
is
reflection.
You have to reflect. And with that, I'm so excited to kick off a new season.
Yes.
It's going to be so great. And we're so glad that all of you could join us.
And we will see you on the next episode next week, because we're back. Want more of the I'm Uncomfortable podcast? Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at I'mUncomfortable.podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Facebook group, the I'm Uncomfortable Club, to gain early access to our episodes and exclusive content. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.